The real purpose on its face of this application was to conduct commercial cattle operations in a conservation district. That is a D use under the law, and also under HAR 5-40-1, whenever you've got any kind of commercial proposal whatsoever, you've got to have a public hearing. Okay, so if it's a D, classified as a D use, you have to do a board permit. If it's a commercial use, like a commercial cattle operation, you have to have a public hearing. What happened instead is that the chairperson decided to fast-track this essentially as a departmental permit with minimal review and little scrutiny, and moved it on through without a public hearing and on the basis of a number of demonstrably incorrect facts from the face of the application itself. And that is arbitrary and capricious. You can't ignore the law, the clear language of the law. You can't ignore the facts that are presented themselves by the applicant and accept some alternate reality, which is demonstrably not true, and make a decision based on that. That is arbitrary and capricious. And it's also just illegal. I mean, it's against the law. So I'd like then to just respond to a few of the things. The all law, I'll pass out this map here of the many maps that have been circulated. This was given to me by my clients. They had an environmental architect, a system with GPS mapping on an existing overlay of a Google satellite picture of this subject area. And what you see from this map is that the black lines on either side, the Hainwrights and the Falco properties, those lines are portions of the ALOA that have already been recognized by the state. The red line that connects those two black lines is the ALOA that's the subject of this proceeding. And based on this, it seems just abundantly obvious that there's a connection between this red line is not going through any ravine, as was just discussed. Okay, this red line is the easiest access to the beach. It exists, it's there. And that's another reason, I mean, I don't think that a site visit's necessary, because I think that overturning this permit is abundantly the clear thing that you have to do. But if you went there, you could walk along it, and it's obviously existing, it's obviously been there for a long time, although that's a little harder to see now because they've taken a 5-foot mower and gone through several times on certain sections of it to make it as wide as a highway. Notwithstanding that, there are many portions of it you see, it's still the historic trail leading right down into that area where they've now freshly mowed, and it clearly connects these things. Now, even if there was a dispute, even if you accept that there's a factual dispute as to exactly where this red line is, there was no adequate investigation done by the chairperson before granting this permit on this issue. There is so much information that contradicts her decision on this that you cannot possibly allow it to stand without doing further investigation, really rigorous investigation into where this is. A public trust resource is not something to be taken lightly. And you can't simply allow it to be blocked off based on inaccurate and incomplete information. There has to be a thorough investigation. And that goes back to why clearly this should have been a board permit from the outset. And not only is it required to be a board permit, because there are D purposes and there are also commercial purposes involved. But the public interest so overwhelmingly demands that strict scrutiny be applied to the situation so we can really all know what's going on. I mean, if we're wrong, or if they're wrong, ultimately that has to be determined before you could allow something to be blocked off. And really, if anything's to be done here, this process should be, the permit should be revoked. If they want to reapply, They're obviously free to do so. They should be ordered to reapply as a board permit. It should be made clear that when the board permit application is received, that there will be a public hearing on Kauai relating to this matter, so that there can be a full and fair and complete discussion of what the issues are. And then a rational decision can be made based on complete facts by the full consideration of the board, not through a fast-track process by just one person who has recused herself admirably. I mean, that's what she should have done in this situation. But really, this is something that's too important to be left to the decision of just one of you. It's something that clearly belongs to the entire board if the applicant decides to raise the issue again.
Ikua!